Hi, Carl. You're an electronic engineer, but you're also involved into marketing. So can you tell us a little bit about your role at RAK?
Yeah, thank you, Dimitra. Thank you, Matt, for including me on the peer interview series. Yeah. So yeah, basically I'm an electronics engineer. So early days of my career, I was involved in product design. So from scratch, let's say from the concept, creating the schematics, building it, prototyping, EVT, DVT, pilot, mass production, EMC test. So basically all the stages. I have experience on it. So that was like the first 6, 7 years of my career. And then I started to get involved with LoRaWAN. There was a startup here in the Philippines. Basically, by the way, I'm in Philippines. I'm not in China. So I'm part of the international team that Ken mentioned earlier. So I'm in the Philippines. So there's a startup here like 2018, something like that. So I started to explore LoRaWAN. And actually, we are a customer of RAK before. So we use the gateways, the RAK 831. So that's the gateway that we use. We put a Raspberry Pi in it. So basically, that's my background. And then I get out of the company, and then I do some consultancy. And then after that, in 2020, I got involved with RAK. So my role now at RAK is basically technical stuff, but not the design. So technical documentation, technical support, technical marketing. So basically all this, and maybe you can think of it as a bridge. Like there's a technical, we have a good team, design team, and then you have another, because you need someone that will try to talk to customers so that the technical team can focus on their work, right? So, but you also need this, like me, I need to be really technically capable to support them. So I think that's basically my role at RAK right now. So I do the documentations, support, yeah. Some write-ups, articles, things like that. So, but that's only on the devices side, on the modules, on WisBlock. But on the gateways, we have another team that's assigned to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I am in the marketing side of Layer, and I can see, like how your own is really like important, especially like when you're selling to the customer and you have like the right information and the right person to write articles to give like the right technical support, etc. So what does fascinate you when exploring or identifying a potential new technology or solution? Probably as an electronic engineer.
Yeah, that's a good question, Dimitra. So actually, what fascinates me is there are new things that you do not have before because they're new, and it makes your life easy. Let's say before in the early days of LoRaWAN, you have to buy the LoRa transceiver, then you get the MCU. Usually this transceiver has 80 commands, so you program the MCU to send some 80 commands to it, and then it will transmit things like that. But right now, you can actually have a module that has the microcontroller on it and has the transceiver on it, just one package, right? So that's RUI3, basically, the RAK Unify interface. So there's a lot of advantages to that. And I believe you use that in the sensor, right? In layers and the water leak sensor. So there's so many advantages to that. Let's say you save space on the PCB, you save the extra power consumption, you have a longer battery life. You can, that's why I'm impressed on your sensors, because it's really small. You don't have any external antenna to it. You embed it on it. So this really fascinates me because before you need to do more steps to do these things. So that's one. And then another is that, let's say before, when you set up a network, a LoRaWAN network, you need to buy the gateway, and then you have to register to or create a LoRaWAN network server somewhere else. But right now, you can have the gateway, and then the LoRaWAN network server can be there. At the same time, the gateway has the capability to have remote update, remote over there update. It can tell you if it's down, or you can have some kind of battery power for remote location. So these solutions are actually the new things that is not available before. So, and actually these things are what we are doing at RAK. So that's why there's the RUI3, the WisDM, our battery, solar battery powered gateways. So basically those things. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So for in terms like when it comes to IoT and the IoT ecosystem and world, what do you think of that? Like of the evolution of IoT?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the evolution of IoT, it will surprise you sometimes, when LoRaWAN, when I got involved to LoRaWAN, they say LoRaWAN, IoT, so they're linked together. Then I realized that, hey, the LoRaWAN devices do not connect to the internet. How it can become an IoT, right? So that's the first question that you will have. And then as you dig deep to it, you read on it, oh, there's a gateway. So the gateway is the one that connects to the internet, and then they're long range. And then as you go along, you see that the IoT ecosystem expanding. And then because of that, there are markets that emerge that will be compatible to that kind of solution, right? So yeah, for for the building management system, you can put a gateway, then you put sensors around the building. Or in the agriculture sector, you have the gateway, then you put some sensors, soil moisture sensors, weather stations. So things like these applications are actually fitted for the LoRaWAN space, which is before, well, you have to do everything from scratch. You need to create your own network. You need to consider pairing, how you do security, things like that. So yeah, it evolves. The ecosystem evolves of the IoT. Yeah.
Thanks. Matt, I don't know if you have like any questions.
I do. I have a couple of questions for Carl. So as we just discussed, we use the RAK 3172 in our Severn water leak detector, and I think the thing that I hear the most from the engineering team is how easy they find the product to use. So they find RAK's products incredibly easy to use, and that's true of the gateways as well. So I think that's not just about technical function, that's also about documentation and communication with the customer. And that is not always true in the industry. So where does that come from? Where does RAK's focus on easy documentation and really easy use come from? Because to me, it's very unique and super helpful. And yeah, certainly if Ken wants to answer that as well, yeah, happy to hear what your thoughts on that.
Oh, I think Ken should answer that. It's more of an upper strategy that we have. Yeah. Go, Ken.
Yes, yeah. So all the work is done by you, so not done by me. But actually, yeah. So I think when we start the company, one of the unique differentiation value we want to provide is the documentation, because many company they say, hey, I want to buy something from Chinese company because its cost is affordable, but problem is no support, no documentation, always, right? So that's why when we start at the beginning, we very focus on this kind of the image and the quality, because I think once we build that, it's very easy for customer to use that, right? So that's why we do that, the value. And I think the second thing is so we also know what we are focused. Like I mentioned, we are networking background, so that's why we know the gateway very well. But also we are not very expert in specific industry. Like if let us to build a water leak sensor, I don't know which sensor I can build. I just want to simulate. It's no value, right? But like you, I think like we discussed in the embedded world, actually, before you launch the layer water leak sensor, actually you already have many years experience on this kind of products, right? So I think focus is very important. That's why we target to offer the gateway and the module, because we have the module and the easy to use programming tools So the sensor company who knows the industry, they can build the sensor very easy, right? And then we partner together to offer the solution for customer to use. I think we focus on what we are good at to help us to build this value layer.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. And I had never, it sounds silly, but I had never considered that by building the module and the gateway, you really enable an ecosystem to build on either side of that, either sensors or services on top. So that's a very nice strategy.
Yeah. Because actually, every product they need the knowledge, right? So I think that's your expertise, not ours. But networking definitely is our expertise. So that's why we hope to focus there. But also module is related to the RF, right? So that's also our expertise. That's why we built the module.
Awesome. That's it for me. Back to you, Dimitra. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, one last question for Carl. Like, can you tell us something that you really love, that it's not necessarily connected to work? It might be connected to work, but...
Yeah. So in terms of hobby, I like hiking. So I like going outdoors. Yeah, it's that one. Then recently, the past few years, I got into podcasting. I read books, but right now I think listening to podcasts is a shortcut. Like in your jogging, you can listen, you're driving, you can listen. So yeah, I think those two things are usually what I do. Yeah, watch movies, things like that. But yeah.
Awesome. Matt is also a runner. Like, he's been running like endless marathons.
I am a runner, and I also listen to a lot of podcasts. Now I know why Carl has such a good voice for this interview, because you're well practiced.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Sound very professional.
Thanks.
That's it. Thank you both very, very much. It was great having this conversation with you. And yeah, we learned all this amazing stuff about RAK and, like the ecosystem of like LoRaWAN and IoT.
Yeah, thank you for having us here. And also thank you, Mike and their team to trust the RAK products. Thank you.
Well, likewise, we look forward to finding more opportunities together. And yeah, as Dimitra said, thank you so much for sharing all of your information and your experience with us. And yeah, we'll look forward to sharing this with people. And I hope that if anyone has any thoughts or comments, they'll post them below this when it's up on LinkedIn.
Sure. We will continue to share the practice and the feedback when we use layer sensor in the field. For sure.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.